Hell yeah. And that was Royal Blood with Boilermaker, the music video, which just came out a few weeks ago. Yeah, so I'm just going to cut to the chase, everybody, and introduce our wonderful guests. They need no introduction, of course, but it is time to welcome our special guests for the stream today. They are a rock duo by way of England who have made waves with their dynamic sound and full throttle rhythms. You may know them from songs like Figure It Out and Trouble's Coming from their new album, Typhoons, which just came out this past Friday. Everybody, please welcome to the stream, Mike and Ben, Royal Blood. Hey guys, how you doing?
Bonjour. We're doing so great. We're doing so great right now. Got a new album out.
Oh yeah, you do.
New album out. It's been a long time. And it feels good. Everyone's come along for the ride. Everyone's come along for the party. It's going down.
Hell yeah. Couldn't have been a better time to release a new album too. I feel like, weather's getting nice, everybody's feeling good, things are going all right.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because right now in England, the weather is storming like crazy.
We've got a typhoon of our own. Is
it typhooning by any chance?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Man, that's crazy. And I wanted to talk about the album, certainly. But first, guys, I wanted to take you through a segment that we call My Life in Music. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to talk through 5 sections of your lives and careers. And for each one of them, we're going to talk about what you were listening to at the time, what your inspirations were, and kind of how that influenced the music that you were writing at that time period. So firstly, I want to kick it off with your early life and your childhood. Main thing I want to know about this part was what were your parents listening to in the household? What music was most around you when you two were growing up?
Ben, I'll let you go first because I know what your answer is, and it's great.
So my parents didn't really have a music taste. I remember the only records in our house were Christian, like Christian music, and then there was Celine Dion's "Falling Into You" album. But the one I remember most was Hank Marvin. There's an album called Hank Plays Cliff, and it was Hank Marvin, who is Cliff Richard's guitarist, just his solo record playing Cliff Richard songs.
Oh, cool. And Mike?
For me, I was listening to, I guess, lots of classical music. Eric Satie was a big one for me. And like Ben, lots of Christian music. I was brought up in the church. So when I discovered rock and roll, it blew this thing. It was insane, man.
It smashed that banqueting table in half, didn't it?
It did. The banqueting table was blown to smithereens.
Wow.
Jehovah Jireh.
I went from singing from a hymn sheet to listening to Nirvana.
Oh my God!
And
wow.
And Rage Against the Machine, Queens of the Stone Age, and Led Zeppelin, and Black Sabbath. I went straight to the dark side.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like that's usually what happens anyways. Like I was also raised Catholic, and I think I got into like metal music when I was maybe old enough to find out what iTunes was. And I figured it out, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this stuff.
Yeah. Once you go there, you don't go back, do you?
No, definitely not. And from you guys too, I want to let you know that we're going to actually be making a playlist by the end of this segment to send to all the people in the chat and all your fans with some specific songs. So I wanted to know, at this section of your childhood, is there any specific song that you think really characterizes that time period for you?
All by Myself by Celine Dion.
Yeah, great.
It was a big one for me. I'm going to go with Queen and One Vision.
Very cool. So both songs about one. Very interesting. Very cool.
Yeah.
And to move then into the next section over here, I know you referred to it a bit before, Mike, but about kind of the adolescent phase when you started to, break out of the church, break out of the things that your parents would show you at a very young age, and break out from the music that you were exposed to as a child, and then you coming into your own and kind of, what were the first things that you picked out yourself in that stage?
So I guess from listening to, really being brought up on, the Beach Boys,
Cool.
The Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Sabbath, kind of like older music. I guess the modern thing for me, I started listening to, like Rage Against the Machine. I then discovered Muse, which is, as a guitarist or a bass player or piano or drummer, wherever you're playing, they're always really fun to play, when you're learning, because they're really like fun parts. And then I started listening to things like Justice and Daft Punk and kind of more electronic music as well. Because although, it's electronic music, it still sounded heavy. It still sounded raw,
Mm-hmm.
It was like metal music, but on keyboards.
Yeah.
I guess that was like my kind of stable diet as a teenager.
Oh, cool. And Ben, what about you?
I'm slightly older than Mike, so my growing up, I went into the kind of the grunger phase at school, where I'd hang around with all the kids that were into new metal music. That that was the new thing. So I remember Hybrid Theory coming out, and then I remember I was in a little group of friends who would burn CDs for each other, so they would download, and we had all the like Korn albums that we illegally downloaded, and then sold them for £3 to the smokers, and so I had a real big new metal phase, I guess. But that resulted in coming out the other end to bands like Rage Against the Machine, and just the Chili Peppers, I guess, were quite a big thing growing up. And then, obviously it evolves, and it's funny, isn't it, how you kind of go back in time to listen to things. Well, for me, I definitely did. I started listening to these modern bands, and then as I got older, started listening to bands like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles, and hearing where all these other bands got their shit from. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about that. You listen to the stuff that's around you, right? Especially when you're growing up, I feel like whatever's thrown at you, you kind of receive, and like what's being released. And then I feel like at some point, at least for myself too, I felt at one point that I would go back to, now I'm back in like the 1970s and like the 1960s, and I'm like, oh wow, what was here that started these bands, and what was here that started these bands? I think that's a great way to look at it. And given both of you, continue. Go ahead, Ben.
I was saying also, with going back to old music, because we weren't brought up on it.
Yeah.
Going back and now having platforms like Spotify and Apple Music, where you can actually, you don't need to go and buy the record in the store anymore, but you can then you get these playlists where you actually find this, like all these other new bands that were around at that time that you would have had no idea about.
Right. It's just so much. I feel like there's just so much new things to discover, and they don't have to be new things. They could just be anythings. I feel like a friend sent me, I remember maybe it was like about a year or two ago, a friend sent me like an old Zeppelin album that I hadn't even heard yet. And I was like, oh man, like, it's, like I can't believe I hadn't heard this yet. But I mean, your responses make a lot of sense, guys, because I feel like, I don't know, especially like Mike with talking about Muse and Ben talking about like Korn and that kind of rich. In both of those bands, I see really like a big, rich, bassy tone, and I feel like, of course, Royal Blood has a big sound in that. And I was wondering, at that time, you know, in your adolescence, is that when you both started playing instruments? Was that both when you started writing as well?
Yeah, I think you fortunately get to the age as well where you can afford to buy an amp, but an amp that's, you know, bigger than your first amp. And I think just the thrill of being able to play loudly is really like the initial inspiration.
Yeah.
And when you play along with live drums, if you've ever been in a room with a live drum kit with someone hitting drums as hard as they can, it's so fucking loud. It's just unreal. So you need an amp or maybe 2 amps in order just to match that volume. Mm-hmm. And I think once you start playing at that high voltage, it's you're in a different zone, you know, and that's when you start. Yeah, I guess the type of music you want to play is really catered to that that environment and that primal aggression, you know. Mm-hmm. I feel like particularly in rock music, there's something very physical about it. It feels like a fight. It feels like getting in a ring, you know.
Yeah.
You chalk up your hands, do some warm ups. It's like shadow boxing with each other. It's actually just like boxing with each other. It's like a fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're sweating at the end of it too, and all like beaten up. Makes sense, right?
Exactly. Someone's getting arrested. You know,
probably.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, man, that's really cool. And you know, so did you start writing music? I know you guys were in a band together, Flavor Country, way back in the day as a 4-piece. And were you writing at the time? Were you doing covers at the time? What was that kind of time frame like for you both?
So I guess we were pretty young, probably 15 when I joined Flavor Country. Ben joined a bit later. Ben actually played guitar in this band, which it's just kind of funny because, as you know, he plays drums now in the band. But I think that's really just telling of we were so open-minded, you know, when we were younger. It wasn't really about what we were playing, you know, or about where we were playing. It was more about just the idea of playing. Mm-hmm. We would have any excuse to play music together with your friends live. It was just so fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, Flavor Country was like the most ruleless band I think we've ever been in. I mean, we had our opening track sounded like Coldplay, and the second song sounded like sort of the Chili Peppers, and then like the third song sounded like a Rage Against the Machine song. Most band practices, we would be on our knees in laughter, just howling with laughter at how funny these songs were. It was very fun to be in, and I think that's a great way. That's how you should start a band. It should come from that place.
Yeah,
I think looking around, a lot of our friends' bands, it just always everything started so serious. It was like, we're going to get a MySpace, we're going to get a fan base, and we're going to have a launch. Everyone was just doing launches.
Yeah.
Well, everyone was doing launches. We were doing lunches.
Yeah. Literally, we went and played at a college, in a college canteen for their lunch break.
Wow.
Once, Ben was just toe punting over people's lunch boxes. With playing guitar.
I love it. Was that the most insane place that you guys have ever played? Just as something off topic, but
yeah, I think so. It was guerrilla style. We were completely uninvited. We showed up at lunch.
Yeah.
And Ben just jumped straight on the benches where everyone was eating, and then just toe punting sandwiches left, right, and center. I was playing a guitar. It was
wow.
I mean,
guitar too.
Our singer had a fake moustache on.
The drummer of Flavor Country is just about to be ordained. So we had
damn. Good for him.
So we now have a Vicar. In the
You
band.
have a minister in your ranks now.
Yeah.
We do. It was holy from the beginning.
Wow.
We're
awesome.
actually a Christian rock band, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we
This
were.
whole interview is to really talk about how you're a Christian rock band, actually.
Yeah, we're really here to promote the gospel. That's kind of the whole point of this band.
Well, great. Well, promote away. I won't stop you. Feel free.
Go on, Ben. I don't remember it.
The
there's
Father,
a
the
flood somewhere
Son,
down the line.
Holy Spirit,
There's a flood
whatnot.
and a donkey.
There's a guy with a
talks
beard,
for
I remember
bit.
There's a guy with a
think he had a
beard.
Yeah, he had a
I've got a
couple of
beard, so
friends.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, hell yeah, guys. I'll be waiting for that gospel album.
12 fish.
12
fish.
fish.
I remember that.
Yeah, the
Maybe
whatever
we
the fishes every holiday season. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should have watched Seaspiracy. There'd be none of that now.
Oh,
would there?
no way.
Yeah.
No way. You guys
Throw
seen
those
that?
fish
Oh,
back.
man.
absolutely.
Great doc. Weird that they call it Seaspiracy and not Conspiracy, honestly. Like, that was my one
know,
gripe
I
about it.
know.
Right? Like, you had so
The-
much
the-
to work with.
That's the ultimate title that's missed, isn't it?
Yeah, sad. But anyways, y'all, to get
And
back
that's
into
why
this,
See
we
what you
eat
did there.
fish.
that's why we don't eat fish.
Only 12.
But only 12 fish. That's it. That's all you get.
Yeah,
Yeah. I actually thought it was 5,000 fish for 12 people, which is just that's just too many.
Yeah.
Too many people.
that's where Seaspiracy came in, wasn't it?
And they're
That's
like,
when they went,
they got to
"Whoa."
shut this
Enough.
whole operation down right about now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anyways, y'all, to move on to the next phase, phase 3, kind of formation of the band, of just you two and your self-titled album that came out in 2014. And I'm wondering what you guys were primarily listening to when your band was taking shape more in the 2011 area, and kind of when you were playing and cultivating your sound in Brighton Electric Studios in 2013. Kind of around that time period, what were you really into around?
I think it was a mixture of lots of Jack White.
yeah.
Raconteurs,
Really
that
cool.
whole kind of vibe and era, yeah.
Queens of Stone Age.
think-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Stone Age.
Still Rage. God, I love Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine.
Have you guys ever seen them live before?
No.
No.
Yeah, man, that's such a bummer.
Never.
They were supposed to do that big world tour last year, but obviously couldn't happen. But man, would have been awesome. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. To be honest, it was probably just mainly that.
The Strokes.
Strokes.
Oh yeah, the
Probably-
Strokes.
Yeah. Which Strokes album are you guys more invested in?
We love their new one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the new one's so sick.
Yes. Yeah, the new one's
I think
great.
that's one of my big statement. I think that's one of the best Strokes albums.
It's great. My favorite of theirs is First Impressions, but I really dig what they've been doing lately too.
First
Yeah.
Impressions is
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they got such a solid body of work that you can really pick anything and you'll be happy with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm just trying to see. Well, I'm just looking to see what one
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite is.
check your Spotify. Do the whole thing. Happy to hear it.
Mm.
And so I guess too, because I know y'all had Come On Over and songs around there, like Out of the Black, Figured Out, Little Monster, kind of popping up as singles before the album release in 2014. And I'm wondering, were those all written at distinct time periods, or were they all kind of grouped together, and was the whole self-titled album done in kind of one session, or was it kind of on a rolling basis?
I think I think it's similar to how most debuts are written, where it's sort of your life's work in a way.
Mhm.
Maybe not, it was certainly the band's life work. It was basically the best of the best, and yeah, all of the songs that we had were just songs that stuck around, and they all kind of came from different places. Things like "Coming Over" was a song I played on like acoustic guitar over mic nights when I was younger, because I think that was the first time I maybe started singing in front of people.
Yeah.
Open mic nights.
Wow.
As much as I'm not really a fan of them. And then other songs like Out of the Black, they were written in our rehearsal space in Brighton. So it's really just a culmination of all of our songs. And then, yeah, you get to the end of your first record and you realize you don't have any songs left. And the terror creeps in.
Yeah, exactly. And Ben, I didn't want to interrupt you too, but did you have a note on the Strokes after looking through your phone?
Yeah, I agree with you. First impressions, yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
I was just making sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that album. You Only Live Once I love that song. Razor Blade
so
2, Heart in a Cage.
Juicebox.
Yeah, Juicebox. Oh man, great track. And I actually got some questions from your fans in the chat. And by the way, everybody in the chat too, like feel free to funnel some questions through. So some people are asking, what your favorite performance of your career was so far, and I think that's pretty potent. I know you guys have had a lot, but since it's, we're in that time period of 2014, 2015, when you started really touring a whole bunch as Royal Blood and started having shows all over Europe, and I know you had some shows in the States, and I even saw you guys in 2015 at Austin City Limits. But do you guys have a favorite show of yours that you've played that you can think of?
Yeah,
I think we can probably unanimously agree on this one, which is Glastonbury main stage, 2017.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. It's obviously the biggest festival in the world, and being from England, it's the closest to being knighted by the Queen without being knighted by the Queen. And that the pyramid stage, for those who don't know, it's almost like holy ground for bands. It has such a rich history of iconic moments. So, and you really feel it when you walk on that stage. It's not only is there thousands of people there, but there's millions of people watching at home, and it's a very intense experience. It's you're so in the moment, but also on cloud nine somewhere. At kind of exactly the same time. We were playing on stage, and about 2 songs in, it was almost like our shoulders dropped, and we just got into the zone, and it was epic. And then I remember looking up to the side of the stage and realizing that Brad Pitt and Bradley Cooper were dancing with my parents, which was kind of insane. That was like a little microcosm that was just going on in the corner on top of Glastonbury. It was all just very, very silly.
Wow, and then awesome. We found out that our record went to number 1 in the UK on stage.
Wow. Oh my God.
And right. So cool. The champagne came out, but I think
it was a lasagna of glory.
Yeah, it was. But those kind of things as well, you know how important it is and how big this moment is for your band, and sometimes the nerves can get the better of you in those situations, and you think about things too much and you play too fast or whatever. But something clicked with us during that show, and I think it was just the situation, and it was a euphoric moment. It was unbelievable, like how we're looking out to all these people. Our record was at number 1, and also we were somehow relaxed and playing the best show we've ever played.
Yeah.
So all those things coming together.
I mean, I'm glad you said that too, because I think as a fan too, that's a show that I see myself going back to a lot, like live concerts, as far as they're concerned. Like your 2017 Glastonbury show, I think like when you're playing Out of the Black at that show, I think I've watched that clip so many times. When I think, Mike, you get up by Ben at the drums and you're both like having a day there and you're like jamming with the crowd, and Ben, you're like walking on people's hands in the crowd and stuff. It's just fantastic. Yeah, it's definitely infectious. And I'm happy you brought it up. It's a great show. Truly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And before I get too distracted, moving on to our next phase over here, we have, again, with your album at number 1, How Do We Get So Dark? That album, too, has a bit of a different feel than your first album. Came out about 3 years later. Kind of changes your sound a little bit, a tinge. And I was wondering, when you were creating this album, was there any new influences that you had not had before? Like, I know your first album, you said you was very Rage Against the Machine influence. Like, you had all these different artists popping up in your periphery to make that album. Were there any new ones that really came into play for the next album?
I think that album was really inspired from the live experience and suddenly having this first experience of being on the road for so long and playing loads of shows. It's almost like we clicked that the songs that we write sort of should be fun to play live and should have an energy on stage. And I think we came off the road when we started writing those songs. It was almost writing songs, but not for that purpose, but it just inspired from that experience. And I think there's a similarity to the second one and the first one, probably because I think that first album was the first 10 songs we wrote as a band, and so the idea of changing probably that wasn't really something we were thinking about. It was more that we had fuel left in the tank and wanted to keep exploring, this world that we were in, if that makes sense.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a weird, making a second album is a weird one, especially in our situation, because the first one did so well.
Yeah.
So you're left with this conundrum of sort of wanting to run forwards, but realizing that there's a leash kind of holding you back. So it's I guess that's why they call it the difficult second record.
Yeah, it's tough because was there any real, pressure to kind of lean back into the sound that you created on the first album and kind of continue that? I know you guys have a specific style, and I think you do it like extremely well. And I'm wondering if in the production of this second album, was there a lot of pressure that you got from fans or the media, or pressure that you even put on yourselves to try to replicate instead of trying something different?
I think the only pressure was really upon ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time we had experienced success, and very quickly, really. And I think with success comes expectation, and that's where pressure really thrives, I think. We just felt an expectation to make something as good, if not better, than what we'd just done. But we also didn't feel like we had permission to change. So it was just a difficult place to be in. We both really love that album. There's some wicked songs on there.
Yeah.
I just think we learned a lot making it, and we would never have made this brand new album we just made had we not gone through that process.
Yeah, very cool. And I got a lot of questions in the chat are coming through, so I'm going to get to some of those. We have somebody along the lines of your music videos too, because you put out quite a lot, especially 3 for Typhoons, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Somebody's asking, are there any plans for another music video in the future?
There is.
Oh,
it's just finished being filmed. I can't give any information away though.
That's
it's
exciting.
Exclusive. It's all very secretive. But I haven't even seen it yet.
Wow.
But it went really well.
Yeah, that's awesome. And kind of another question along the sides of music videos, specifically to Ben. Somebody in the chat wanted to know, what song, if you could, Ben, what song would you make a music video out of, if you could, out of your newest album?
The newest album? I think for comedy purposes, I think Who Needs Friends would be quite a funny music video. Just because of some of the lyrics in it, and you can imagine if you played that out literally, it would be quite funny.
Yeah.
I'd like all of our mates to be in that video.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that'd be a really fun one. I feel like kind of wild. And also one more quick question. Somebody really wants to know, Mike, where you find the inspiration for your riffs? Because I know at least for these 3 albums, I feel like almost every song has just like a memorable riff on it. And they're wondering where you come up with these riffs and how you get that done.
It's 90% of the time it's always from the drums.
Yeah.
I think once I have something to bounce off, you know, it's like I have this bouncy ball, but I need a wall to throw it against, or it's not, you know, or it's useless.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's like having a bouncy ball in outer space. So I think as soon as I hear I had the drum beat, then I kind of it sets the scene, you know.
Yeah, very cool. So do you guys build most songs based on Ben? If you're like tinkering on the drums and you land on something cool, does it build from there usually?
It can do, yeah. I think everything that we do starts with a rhythmic thing, wherever that be. Mike doing something on the bass, and then I then start drumming. But it's all how those rhythms combine together, and then you get a feel of the song, and that's where it starts.
Cool.
I think it's all about counterpoint for us, because there's only 2 main elements to the songs. If the drum part's really busy, then it informs my riff to be kind of simple. Mm-hmm. Or if the drum part's, you know, fit like more solid and straighter, then it allows me to kind of go bananas. But it just kind of depends, what the drums are doing.
Cool. And
you can't have the saxophone player playing a solo at the same time as the trumpet player.
Yeah, that's right. Would throw each other completely off. That's right. Brass on brass is a no-go.
It's bananas on toast. You can't start spreading banana on another banana.
You need the peanut butter in the middle to smooth it over.
You do, yeah, exactly.
And guys, moving to the final section of this My Life in Music for current, I just want to get an idea of, while you're making Typhoons, and what your current music tastes are like, and if they've changed at all since the very beginning, since you started off with Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all those artists you mentioned, Korn in your Adolescence, Muse. Have your tastes changed at all since early life to right now, even last year?
Definitely. My music taste changes on a daily basis. I think there'll be things that I listen to, and sometimes when you want to show someone a song and you have the idea in your head of what that song sounded like, and then you play it and it's actually quite underwhelming. Yeah. Because it might have been a time and a place where you heard that, and the sound system, you know, it could. So sometimes then, you feel a bit underwhelmed with those things, and then you hear something else that, you know, does fill those voids and is massive and sounds great. And I think, you know, we discover music every single day, whether it be on adverts or on Instagram or whatever. And there's obviously, with the streaming platforms, something can just come on and then it inspires you, and you can go and listen to the whole record from that band or whatever.
And what about you, Mike? Any artists?
Yeah. My taste has changed quite a lot. I definitely listen to more pop music than I've ever listened to. I think, I don't know. I think it's just something I've noticed. The sort of main thing I've noticed, really.
That's very interesting.
The main 2 albums I listened to last year was Harry Styles and Dua Lipa.
That's awesome. I mean, they put out 2 like fantastic pop albums. So I mean, you know. Yeah,
that's kind of all I was listening to, really.
Yeah.
And I think I would never have done that 3 years ago. I just have a kind of much bigger appreciation for that kind of music.
That's really cool. And I feel like that makes a lot of sense, given how Typhoons, I think, sounds a bit different than your previous albums. And I like that like danceability quality that I'm picking up on the new record. But also, to end out this segment, are there any up and coming artists that you guys are really intrigued in and you guys have been listening to? I know you have gone on tour with bands like Black Honey and Tiger Club. But are there any other bands that are up and coming that you think deserve a little more spotlight?
Definitely. I have two.
Yeah.
So one of them is a guy called Sherwin, who is an incredible songwriter, and someone I actually met in LA. About a year and a half ago, I went out there just to go and work with some songwriters, not necessarily for my own band, but just to kind of meet some professionals and see how the pros do it. And Sherwin is one of those pros. And we wrote some songs together, and we just got on so well. And we were in the middle of the writing session, and I was playing him some Raw Blood stuff, and he was really enjoying it. And then he played me some of his music, and it literally blew my mind.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, you've got to check it out. My favorite track's called My Mind. He's unbelievable. It's I'm trying to describe it now. It's kind of like almost like Talking Heads and the disco side of Blondie.
Cool.
But it has a real modern spin on it. It really kind of slams in a really modern way. Yeah, couldn't recommend that enough. Cool. And then another new artist who's fucking awesome is our friend Tommy Hill, who has a project called I Know, and yeah, kind of other end of the spectrum really. It's like very psychedelic, kind of woozy singer-songwriter, but it's got this really like industrial kind of glitch to all of it. It's really, really unique.
Wow.
And he's kind of having a bit of a moment at the minute over here in England and getting some radio play and stuff, which is exciting. He actually helped us on Boilermaker. Boilermaker started in his bedroom. He was showing me some new songs he had, and he had this very rough idea for a song, and beneath the song was this drum beat, and I was like, "What's that beat?" And then I basically begged him for the drum beat. I was like, "Look, I'm just gonna rip you off." And I had something else that was. I was like, "Can I just have it?
Can I just get that beat?
And then
just send it over, please."
It was just that feel, and me and Ben started playing to this feel, and then that's really what kicked Boilermaker off.
Man, very cool.
So he's a bit of a dude. I know. Go check that out.
That's awesome. We'll check it out. And Ben, what have you been listening to recently, right around this time?
Nothing new. And no new bands really.
Yeah,
just
totally.
new things from bands that have been around for quite a while. Tiger Cub, as you mentioned, they've got a new record coming out. My friends in the Architects have just had their first #1 record here in the UK, which is amazing because their music is it's metal music, and so to be in a world over here on the radio and the #1 record is amazing. And yeah, I've just been. I watched their the Tame Impala thing that they did the other day, the live stream.
Nice.
That was good. I'm very I'm very mood based with my music, so I often go back to a lot of the same kind of things, really.
That's awesome. And guys, I want to thank you so much. That was the end of our My Life in Music segment. But now I want to move on to talk about Typhoons. I've been really itching to talk about the new album. And specifically, since you mentioned Boilermaker, I really want to talk about Boilermaker specifically first, because I know you guys did a lot of live performances of Boilermaker. And I've even heard from a lot of your fans too that, for years they were going to YouTube versions of the song, listening to those versions of the song because there wasn't a studio version yet released. And I was wondering, that song being born out of that drum beat and evolved into something else, what was it like to test out that song live? And was it always intended to be on this new album, or was it going to go as a single?
I think at that point when we had honestly, it was just something that we were so excited about. We wanted to share with our fans.
Mm-hmm. I think we lost him.
Know what kind of album we were on at that point.
Mike, we're losing
you. Lost
you.
me.
Yeah, just a sec. Now we got two Bens.
Right, here we go.
Here we go,
show.
Ben.
Boilermaker.
Boilermaker, talk to me about it.
I'll tell you about Boilermaker. Boilermaker was, it was kind of like the first thing that was written after we had been on tour, and we were still trying to find what the next Royal Blood kind of sound and what the mood was going to be like for the next record. And so Boilermaker was a song that really got us pumped really about what we're going to do next. And during all that writing period, we thought it'd be good to remind ourselves of why we do what we do and go and play some shows. And when we were in a band, when we were like younger, we would be so excited about writing a song and then playing it that night, even though it wasn't ready, because we always, the newest thing that you do is the thing that you're most excited about showing people.
Yeah.
And this kind of had that energy. It was like, it was pretty much done, but we were so excited about testing it out and playing it to people and having this new song that, it just, and especially Boilermaker, I don't know, when that riff comes in at the beginning, I'm always like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, getting ready. So we just thought we'd test it out, and instantly it became a fan favorite. And so when it came to putting the album together, we felt like it still really worked and it had a place on the record, just I think because we thought it was so good.
Yeah. And definitely oh, hey, welcome back, Mike. There you are. We'll bring you back into the room. Hey. But yeah, Ben and I were just talking about Boilermaker and how you guys decided to put it on the album, and which, I mean, I think it was a great decision because, I mean, the song it's a song I think that's been so cultivated, and as I mentioned, people have been watching videos on it for years before it even got this release, and it's got this whole big music video too alongside it that we watched before the stream, which is of course fantastic. And it's really, I feel like it's a big song that classifies kind of a new age of the band and really pushes through the new album really well.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it certainly was a step forwards for us when that song was written and kind of came alive on stage. And yeah, you're right. It almost started growing a life of its own. Because I think by the time we started working on our actual record and we had things like Typhoons and Troubles Coming, it was Boilermaker was always kind of this like side order to the main meal, but it was so delicious that we just had to kind of it just had to be thrown on the same plate, you know.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm so stoked it's on there because it is almost like this smoke grenade in the middle of the record. I think the thing that really sold it for us is that it had this danceability to it, which is, I guess, musically the running theme of the record.
Yeah, definitely.
But it had a danceability in a completely different way from anything else. So, yeah, we're a big fan of that song.
Yeah. And I was also wondering too, somebody in the chat asked about this earlier, but I had also came with this question as well about the album art. Kind of what went into creating that album art? Who did you have create it? Did one of you create it?
No, we didn't make ourselves, but we it was really inspired by the lyrics on the record. There's a running theme really on the album that we started to notice once we got to the end of the record, which is everything on the album is really about obviously Typhoons is literally about, you know, this kind of violent, repetitive behavior. But we noticed every song was referring to things like over and over again and being stuck in limbo and just this idea of repetition and being in a cycle of destruction, I guess. And but at the same time, musically, there was just, for the first time, all this color being introduced into our music that we'd never heard before. Being just bass and drums at the beginning, everything. That's why everything was so monochrome and everything was literally, black and white and kind of bold in that way. But I think things like Typhoons and Limbo, they had this sparkle and this electricity to them that we knew we wanted to introduce color, but we didn't want it to be had to reflect that kind of nighttime disco feel good thing. So we basically put those two ideas together and realized that it should be a typhoon but on acid. And we got a brilliant guy called Tim Sasanti, who is an incredible artist. He took loads of pictures of lights spinning, because you can imagine the kind of phone calls we were having where what we were asking him to do, and he was like, I think I get it. And he sent us over a bunch of photos, and there we had it. There was just this photo, and we sort of zoomed in and we were like, holy shit, that's it. For us, when we know, and it it was the perfect visual representation of the music and the lyrics.
Yeah, and funny you mentioned the lyrics too, because I wanted to dig into that a bit, because I do know, as far as I noticed too on the album when I was listening through, a lot of the lyrics have kind of like a dark-ish theme, I would guess, but the rest of the music surrounding it is a lot more dancey, happy, lively kind of than the lyrics would indicate otherwise, I feel like. And like, for example, on like Typhoons, you have a line that's like, cause all these chemicals dancing through my veins, they don't kill the cause, they just numb the pain, things like that, surrounded by all these dancey kind of notes and rhythms. I'm wondering how you decided to juxtapose those two, and kind of when that theme of the album clicked for you both.
I think that marriage of dark lyrics and light music, not light music, but colorful music, should we say? I think that idea, its inception was really on Trouble's Coming, and it wasn't something that was designed. It was more something that we evaluated at the end of Trouble's Coming, where it was like, oh, that's quite interesting. This is a pretty upbeat, feel good sounding song, but the lyrics are kind of dark, and we realized that it was okay. I think it gave us license to, if we were going to carry on in this direction, that combination was okay. And it also came from a very honest and genuine place where I just come out of a very dark and twisted experience. And having come out of that, I had arrived in a very vibrant and light and very feel-good place. So the music, most of our tracks start with the riffs and the music first. So sitting down and playing, I was in a great headspace, and we were coming up with this fun, feel-good music. I didn't want to sing about dancing. I didn't want to sing about having a good time. Yeah. Because I wanted to really tell the story of where I'd just come from. And I had a lot to say, and I had a lot to kind of, a lot to talk about. But it took Trouble's Coming for it to be like, okay, that works. It's okay. It's not actually that weird. Sure. So yeah, it's an interesting juxtaposition that I think we felt was kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, definitely. And also kind of keeping with that rhythm on the album too, Ben, I'm a big fan of a lot of your drum work, and specifically on the song Limbo, I noticed you have right in the middle of the song, you have a great drum fill right in the middle. And I was wondering for you, and specifically on this album, but even for earlier albums, when you're coming up with a drum fill or a beat, what do you think is the best thing for you to do to kind of get to that space where it's not too much, it's not little, it's just exactly what the song needs?
I think you know that when you listen back, and I think as you've got to let your creative process just kind of flow through you a little bit, and you've got to make loads of mistakes, and you've got to be fearless in the studio and not worry too much, because I find that the mistakes can lead to some really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And then once I've gone in and listened to myself, if I play the song 3 times or something and I go and listen, it's so straightforward for me. I just realize what I should do in those moments quite quickly. And yeah, I think we work at quite a pace. We like to keep things quite fresh and quite upbeat, and I think you normally get that in the first takes anyway, just because you're excited about them, and there's nothing worse than playing a song and trying to get it right, like on your 10th take, because there's no joy in that.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, for the fills and stuff like that, it's just trial and error.
Yeah.
And doing what is right for the song, but also doing something that you feel is interesting and creative.
That's great. And also, speaking of Limbo, you guys not only released the video for Boilermaker, of course, a few weeks ago, but you have a video for Limbo, you got a video for Typhoons, and they're also different and distinct, and they each have their own feel. And I was wondering what concepting those music videos was like. You said you just wrapped another one recently too. So yeah, I was just wondering what goes behind the concepting of all of your videos for this album.
I think every song on this record, yeah, the video has really been, I think we felt like the videos didn't need to have much of a running theme. It was because I think particularly the singles that we chose, they're all a kind of different example of the same theme, and they all have their own personality. So things like Trouble's Coming, for example, we felt like, yeah, it had a much more of a narrative led vocals, which is why the video kind of serves it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But then Typhoons was just such a we would have missed such a trick had we not made the video we made. Yeah. Sometimes it's okay to be completely on the nose and do the obvious thing. Mm. It's actually called Occam's razor, I think, when you just go for the kind of simplest answer.
Right. Is exactly what was expected. Right.
Yeah. So we did an Occam's razor on that one. Yeah, I mean, and then things like Boilermaker, again, that song was just this bully in the middle of the album. So I think, yeah, it had taken this like some sort of a cookie cutter and applied it to that song, it wouldn't have worked. And yeah, as soon as it came to thinking about video, we immediately thought of Liam Lynch because of how, yeah, just trippy and psychotic that song is. And his kind of surrealist and yeah, he's so hard to describe. It's so surreal, and so also follows the music. You know, he's very musical with his videos, and doesn't ignore the lyrics as well, and somehow manages to do all that at the same time. It's a real talent. There's not a lot of people that can do that.
Yeah.
And all honesty, we didn't do anything for that video. We knew we wanted him to make it, and he sent us 10 seconds of him walking, and it blew our minds, and we were like, you do whatever you want to do because we trust you. And about a month later, he sent us the first edit, and we were just like, that's one of the best things I've ever seen. Don't touch it. You're a genius. And yeah.
Wow, that's great.
It's, you really are at the mercy of the talent that's around you when it comes to videos. And yeah, when there's people like him, it's it's easy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a few other questions here just to wrap up. I know, speaking about your guys' live shows earlier and how excited I am for them to resume at full capacity and stuff. I was wondering what songs from Typhoons are you really, really looking forward to playing live for your fans?
We honestly want to play all of them.
Typhoons,
it's going to be really hard.
For me. Typhoons, just because it just feels good, that one, for me to play. Just you sit back and it's like I'm enjoying it more than working on it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a lot of your fans in the chat too are a lot of Irish fans in the chat. Everybody's asking, are you planning to come back to Ireland anytime soon?
We'd love to come back to Ireland. Ben, what's the update on that?
Well, my girlfriend's Irish, and she is. If we go there, we have to see her family, though. So we've got to sort that part out of it first, and then at the moment it's a little bit difficult. Border controls, and all of that. We have to get some euros if we're going over there. So we need to do a trip down to the post office. What else do we need to do? We need to do our laundry before we go there.
Yeah, get that all ironed out. Mm-hmm.
So we've got to think about and plan.
Got to think ahead.
That.
Yeah, it's a long, tawdry list of things you got to do before you head over there. Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad you guys are being well prepared for these scenarios.
Thank you. But, you have to be.
But we're definitely going to go. We're definitely going to play a show at some point. We just need to know when we're allowed, don't we, Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And finally, before I let you guys go, now you're on your third album, third LP out, of course, and I'm wondering, how do you envision the future of your band and your sound from this point on? Considering how first album was a huge break into the industry, a lot of fanfare. Established you guys as a big rock act in the past 10 years, and from to the second album, to refining your sound, to now changing it up slightly, and kind of where do you go from here?
I think for us, making this album, when we got to the end, we didn't feel like it was the end of a chapter. It felt like the beginning of something, and it felt like we'd get to what we thought was the end of the record. We'd always be adding a song on, and it's one song was kind of informing the next. So I think for the future, it's more that to keep pointing forwards really, and do that mercilessly, and boldly and bravely, because I think if there's one thing this record's taught us, it's that trusting your instincts and not being caught up on the past is a hell of a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And one more quick thing, because chat wouldn't let me get away with it if I let you go before this, but do you guys have a favorite barbecue joint that you go to? It could be in the States, it could be over there. Somebody's really wants to know what you guys like barbecue wise.
For me, I'm gonna sort of not barbecue. I'm gonna go Prince's fried chicken in Nashville.
Fried chicken. Oh, nice.
I know it's not barbecue, but Prince's fried chicken in Nashville.
We'll accept it for sure over here. Mm-hmm.
Is wild.
The thing with barbecue is barbecue food in America is very different to what we would call barbecue food in the UK. And there's in the UK, basically, it's about really getting it wrong and burning everything.
Great.
But there's a smell in the air of this when you're walking down the road, and it's very different. But barbecue, it's got to be somewhere in Texas.
Yeah.
Maybe Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so many places, isn't there? just whatever.
Well, I mean, talking about barbecue in the UK, my mind instantly goes to Nando's. But
Nando's.
I don't know how you guys feel about Nando's.
Well, I love Nando's, but I wouldn't call that barbecue. I'd call that
It's
Portuguese,
close.
South American.
Portuguese. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's a whole bunch of things.
Yeah,
There's a grill. It's a grill.
You got a grill
there's
there.
a grill.
You got meat. I guess those are the two components you need. But anyways, y'all, I won't talk to you anymore about barbecue. But I hope.
No, I'm not having this. Nando's is not a barbecue joint, man.
I'm so sorry.
It does chicken.
I'm
It does
so
grilled chicken.
I'm sorry. I had saw it.
It does
Somebody suggested it in the chat.
salads, man.
Thought I'd bring it up. You know, it's you know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I offended you with my Nando's talk.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I love Nando's.
That's great. Well, guys, Ben, Mike, I really wanted to thank you both for coming out to Rolling Stone today, talking to me about your life in music, talking to me about Typhoons. And I wanted to know from you both, is there anything you'd like to tell your fans before you head out? Anything you'd like to plug?
2 things.
Yes.
First one is go and buy the new album because
Yes.
it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
The second one is we're coming to you. We're coming to a town near you. It may not be announced yet, but as soon as we get that green light, we are going to come and play a show. So keep your eyes peeled. If we are coming to a town near you, we've got tickets for sale. We're going on tour. We're going on tour of the UK, February and March 2022. It's going to be absolutely bonkers. That's my message. Yeah. Also, we love you. Thank you for your support.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Wash your hands. Keep your hygiene
hands clean.
Keep all hygiene. Teeth, hair. Go on, Mike.
I was going to say, when this pandemic is ended, please keep washing your hands.
Yeah. Keep washing your hands.
Life's better when people have clean hands.
And just be nice to each other in general, you know.
And you know what? I'm going to say this as well. Once the pandemic is over and you do get ill, just please wear a mask, because that's also a great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be nice. Be kind to each other out there. Be kind online. We don't want any online trolls or bullies. We don't care. We don't want bad opinions either. We don't like negative people online. Let's bring some sunshine, positive vibes for the summer.
Yeah, if you've got negative feedback, just remember you're not in the band, and you never will be.
Give it to them. Well, Ben and Mike, thank you once again to the both of you for coming out to the stream, and it was such a pleasure to have you. Hope to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Oh, man, that was a royal blood, Ben and Mike. And, man, loved talking to them, loved having them on. I may have offended them slightly with my Nando's talk. But, you know, tomorrow is another day, and we will move on. Their new album, Typhoons, of course, as you know, is out. Came out last Friday, and you can get to it on all streaming platforms.